For all of you joining us from around the world, welcome to this very special webinar hosted by the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth Initiative. The last couple of years have witnessed some of the most defining moments of our collective journey on Earth. As a community, we have seen all forms of natural, man-made, and unpredictable events: a global pandemic, a crippling economic crisis, widespread terrorism and bloodshed, racial and social discrimination, and a decaying planet. We live in a time of total uncertainty of what to expect from tomorrow. Even during these unpredictable times, we remain united. And that feeling of collectiveness for our fight for our health, our planet, and our future has been seen vividly across the entire world. The last 2 years have been challenging, but every cloud has a silver lining. COVID has acted as an enabler for global cooperation and furthered our commitment to progress. Never before have we had such a common narrative to share as global citizens. The power of youth is fuel for the entire, I'm sorry.
The power of youth is the fuel for the entire world. No segment of society can match up to the power, idealism, enthusiasm, and courage of youth. Our generation is more informed, more aware, and more connected to the situation of our planet than ever before.
Not because we were born with a green thumb, but because we face an existential crisis that will decide our future. This negative reality has pushed us to become activists, campaigners, and drivers of change. There isn't a better opportunity for us to change than now. We are being tested, and the questions of this test are pretty simple. Are we going to stay united? Are we prepared to win? Will we ever overcome these challenges and achieve our goals? The answers for this test are also pretty simple. Are we going to stay united? Yes. Are we prepared to win? Yes. Will we ever overcome these challenges and achieve our goals? Yes. With that being said, my name is Mir Mustafa.
And I am Anna.
And on behalf of the SDSN Youth Global Secretariat, we would like to welcome you to this very special event where we chart out our plan for the next 5 years by enabling and empowering of the youth to lead the charge on sustainable development.
Since 2015, the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth Initiative has been actively empowering young people to lead the way for a more sustainable, brighter future for everyone. We remain committed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement. With a vibrant community, relevant educational tools and resources, and impactful renovations, SDSN Youth has transformed itself from an organization to a movement. And both Mir and I, as so many of you, couldn't have been more proud of being part of this community of change makers and leaders.
We are honored to have with us the President of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Professor Jeffrey Sachs. He's really a man who needs no introduction, a world-renowned economist, a best-selling author, and a global icon for sustainable development. He's previously served as the SDG advocate for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres for promoting the global goals, and has also served as a special advisor to Secretary General Kofi Annan, Ban Ki-moon, and Secretary General Guterres. He serves as the university professor and the director of the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University. It is our great pleasure to have Professor Sachs with us here today, and we now invite him to address the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Professor Jeffrey Sachs.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Good, okay, very good, thanks. Even a year and a half into this awful pandemic, I'm still speaking on mute. So let me thank Mir and Anna and all of SDSN Youth and everybody joining today for the chance to be together and to brainstorm. It's fitting that just a couple of hours ago, SDSN launched the Sustainable Development Report 2021. Some of you may have been on that presentation. That is our annual report of kind of the report card or taking the temperature of the planet with regard to sustainable development. And the report was, of course, very concerning. Not surprisingly, 2020 was a year of going backward. It was the first time since 2015 that the world recorded regress on the Sustainable Development Goals. COVID-19 really shocked the whole world. It created, of course, a public health catastrophe, political crises, and social, psychological, huge challenges. But it also meant a year in which we fell backward at closing the poverty gap, in reducing hunger, in ensuring kids in school everywhere. Every one of the SDGs was challenged in 2020, and it was a very, very tough year. And we're not out of this short-term crisis by any means yet, as we all know, and we still have a surging pandemic in many places in the world, and we have not cracked the code for fair, inclusive, universal coverage by vaccination, which is a critical part of bringing COVID-19 under control. Well, all of this means that your homework assignment is even greater than it was last year. If I were speaking a year ago, I would have said we're off course. Progress between 2015 and 2019 was not sufficient to achieve the goals that we've set. Now the drama has increased markedly. We have to end a pandemic. We have to help people everywhere to build back their livelihoods, regain employment and income, face pressing humanitarian crises of extreme poverty and hunger, but then really to take on what is the positive and dynamic agenda of sustainable development. And that is investing in people, in health, in education, in skills, in training for sustainable development, investing in renewable energy, investing in clean industry, the circular economy, investing in conservation and sustainable agriculture to overcome hunger and to stop the damages from agriculture on land and biodiversity, to invest in cities, home to probably around 60% of the world's population right now, a little bit less on official data. But this is where people are living more and more, and they're flocking to cities, and the cities are not livable, safe, with the infrastructure that they need, and investing so that what we are doing right now, speaking on Zoom, is available to everybody in the world. That is the digital access, whether it is for education purposes, communications purposes, providing basic health care, providing basic financial services, receiving government services, participating politically. This has to be available for everybody. So digital access is absolutely central. So for our SDSN youth movement, and it is a global movement now, we need a dramatic acceleration of investments everywhere. And we need not only best practices, we need new creative practices to ensure that the benefits of green and digital technologies reach everybody. I've mentioned now in passing, and I'll call them out, the 6 transformations that are essential for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in the Paris Agreement. The 6 that I mentioned are education and skills, healthcare coverage for all, clean energy and industry, sustainable land use, sustainable cities, and digital transformation. So those 6 transformations we regard as essential. In this year's report, we start to do systematic tracking of each of these 6 transformations. Now, you as problem solvers, as leaders in sustainable development, as mobilizers and as activists, have the responsibility and the opportunity to scale up these solutions everywhere and to ensure that what we can do is being done. I'm on calls every day with world leaders or financiers, really trying to press them. You've got to do more. Empty promises don't work. These things cost money. I was speaking with the leadership in Africa this morning about the incredible potential for renewable energy, the incredible potential for bringing science-based crop productivity in Africa, where, for example, heat-stressed wheat is leading to a sharp increase of food availability and food security in places like Sudan and Southern Africa. We have solutions, we have technologies, we've identified the core transformations that are needed. We need to get this done. And I think you have special skills in that. Better activism, better abilities to network, and knowledge about how to use the digital technologies most effectively. One of the projects that I'm working on right now is to ensure that we can have very low cost, worldwide education on sustainable development. It is, after all, SDG target 4.7. Everybody with a device ought to be able to listen in for free, take a course, get credits, be able to work and attain a university degree at the same time at much lower cost than in the past by using digital technologies in a clever way. I'm hoping that in the coming year, we'll launch a new initiative for online education in Africa. We're working on similar initiatives in Asia, in Europe, in Latin America. I think the potential is absolutely enormous. We have, as some of you know, because you're helping to lead it, a global schools program to help design curricula, not only at the university level, but at the primary and secondary level as well, because that's what we need in order to achieve these goals. And SDSN Youth has done absolutely phenomenal work in designing new curricula and also in engaging ministries of education and teachers across the world in testing out, adopting, and then disseminating these new courses and programs and activities for young people to get involved. So let me emphasize that your mission is really a big one. You really are empowered because the older generation isn't doing it, or doesn't know how to do it, or isn't getting it done adequately. We need to make practical transformations on large scale in all dimensions that I've mentioned, in human investments, in the infrastructure investments, in how we live, and in how we connect with each other. I'm going to be working nonstop to help mobilize financing and resources for these investments at a large scale. I'm counting on you to build programs, to build awareness, to design new approaches, new applications, new solutions for making these transformations in every city, in every province and state, in every country, in every region of the world. So thanks to you. I'm really excited and I'm grateful to have the chance to share these thoughts briefly with you. Thank you to SDSN Youth. Thank you to Brighton Kaoma for leading this effort, to Mir and Anna and all of you on the line. Please count on me to give you support, and I'm counting on you for the leadership. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Professor Sachs, for your words. It's really inspiring to have heard from you and for all your encouragement from the start of SDSN Youth's journey back in 2015. Our next guest is no stranger to SDSN Youth. Sophia has been involved with SDSN Youth since 2016, first as a project officer, then as the project lead for communications and technology, and then leading the charge as the lead of the operations and networks team. Since November 2019, she has served as the director of SDSN Youth, leading the organization to a greater height and building on the successes of the past director and his team. Her conviction and passion for youth development is evidently reflected in the way that she has led this community of changemakers over the past few months. Sophia, it is with great joy that we invite you to share your thoughts with us now.
Hi, hi everyone. Thank you, Mir, for the introduction, and thank you for your kind words. I'm super glad to be here. I am also super excited to say that we've been around for 6 years now at SDSN Youth. 6 years of working with young people around the world to try and accelerate the youth-led solutions from anyone based in anywhere around the world. You can have any background, any ideas. We're here to support you through that journey. So with this achievement, we've taken some time to think about what we want to do in the future. And so I want to take some time today to talk about what we've done in the past, take a little trip down memory lane, and have a little bit of a moment to celebrate the successes that we've had in the past few years. So if you give me a moment, I will share my screen. So can we see this? Okay, so on our screen here is, this is our old mission. So to empower youth globally to create sustainable solutions. This mission statement meant a couple of things. So one was to focus around education. So educating people with the knowledge about the SDGs and then connecting them to the opportunities and pathways to take that action. And so with this mission, we've explored a lot of different initiatives over the past few years, namely a number of different global initiatives. So we tried out different domain areas from university leadership to high schools, to cities, to arts, a whole number of things. We explored a lot of different avenues of change. So we did a lot of research related reports. We built some learning platforms, and we also built a lot of different types of curriculums as well. And so as part of this, we've done a lot of explorations to figure out like what would work best for our mission, that being to empower youth globally. And if we take a look at some of our successes, we've been able to grow quite a lot in the past few years. So growing our team, we went from a very small team of 6 to 187 this year. We've spent a lot of time trying to empower those who would then empower their communities. So instead of doing the direct outreach, we're very much around educating the educators who would then empower their communities, and that would have that sort of exponential effect. On top of that, we wanted to explore ways to support solutions. So in this case, it was how do we provide visibility to youth-led solutions who typically get let's say like not very much visibility due to lack of experience or mentorship or opportunities. And on top of that, we also built quite a large network. So a combination of all our programs together, based in a number of countries. We've now, I'm super glad to say that we have about 4,900 program members total. So a huge growth from where we started back in 2015. And just to say that we have grown quite quickly. So we started out in Melbourne in a shed behind the Monash Sustainable Development Institute network building, all the way to now this global network that we run remotely across a number, well, a couple of hundred of countries. And so today, I wanted to have a little moment to look back about what we've done in the past so that we can look forward. We have, as Professor Sachs has mentioned, we've been socked in the face by COVID-19 this year. It has given us a lot of time to think about, okay, we've spent all this time working on these different initiatives. How can we make our impact more meaningful? How can we maximize the impact that we make by helping young people figure out how they can contribute to sustainable development as an individual and then take action in order to create a better world. And so in the past 12 months, we've spent time to recalibrate and think about what that could be. And so I would like to hand this over to Brighton, who is our new director and will be taking us forward with this new vision and moving us towards this new decade of action. Amira, this is back to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Sophia. And on behalf of the entire family of SDSN Youth, we thank you for all your efforts that you've done as the interim director of SDSN Youth in these past couple of months. Success is fine, but success is fleeting. Significance is lasting. Brighton's entire life and all his work are a testament to this quote. A prominent youth lead or activist and social entrepreneur, born and raised in Zambia, Brighton is a graduate from the Columbia University with a vast track record of leadership experience, working at an intersection of sustainable development, corporate sustainability, business development, communications, and youth empowerment in more than 20 countries spread over 4 continents. At the tender age of 14, he started a radio broadcast for the children of his community, and since then, there has been no looking back. He was awarded the Queen's Young Leaders Award from Her Majesty the Queen in 2015. Brighton also received the WWF International President's Award in addition to being appointed a One Young World Ambassador. After his speech, Brighton would be taking a few questions. If you have any questions, please raise your hand on Zoom, or you can, and we will allow you to unmute yourself. Alternatively, you can send me the questions in the chat box. There couldn't have been a right fit than him for our position of our global director. It is with an elated sense of pride that we introduce to you the global director of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth Initiative, Brighton Kaoma. Brighton, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Maya. Very pleased, very excited for that very kind introduction. And many thanks to Professor Sachs for the opportunity to speak to us today. But also I would like to send a very special thank you to Sophia, who's been a wonderful colleague over the last couple of months in onboarding me to this role of Global Director for the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Youth Network. I'm extremely delighted, extremely thrilled to be speaking to you from my home country, Zambia, where I'm visiting for a week. And it gives me much pleasure to reflect on the experiences in terms of development in the global north and what I'm experiencing right now being in Zambia. The task we have ahead is immense. Allow me to just share my slides to speak to you about some of our critical steps moving forward and how our strategy defines our priorities and approach. Hello, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Again, I would like to just reiterate the fact that it gives me immense pleasure being in Zambia right now after having traveled from New York City about a week or so ago and looking at the different developmental pathways and the challenges that both parts of the world are faced with. It actually gives me a keen realization of the critical activities and critical actions and tasks that we have ahead. And in this particular decade of action, SDSN Youth has got a new vision, a vision that is going to allow us all to create more impact at scale and inspire the next generation of ethical leaders towards the Sustainable Development Goals. We are ushering into this decade of action our new vision, which is to mobilize youth to shape a sustainable world for future generations. And this is anchored on a key realization that youth are the leaders of today, and that it's critical to mobilize our energies, our ideas, and our solutions to shaping a better world. This vision statement is also anchored on a very strong mission of accelerating solutions towards the Sustainable Development Goals by connecting young people to pathways for understanding and action. And this is anchored on transitioning from intention to understanding and eventually taking critical action for Sustainable Development Goals. After further reflection, SDSN Youth has developed a new pathway to help young people progress through a critical journey of knowledge, understanding, and taking action. And in this regard, the intention of SDSN Youth Next strategy under this theory of change is to have young people understand how they can contribute to sustainability as an individual through understanding sustainable development, understanding the challenges their communities are faced with, and also understanding the key pathways of how to make change. But this should result in young people understanding how to build strong, sustainable solutions. And this also ties back into our existing programs that allow young people to be equipped with the right tools and skills to take critical action in their communities and their countries for SDGs. Previously, as my colleague Sophia stated, we had an organizational structure that looks like this. And in this regard, we've made strategic changes to make us become more efficient, perform better, and create impact at scale. So when you look at our new organizational structure in this decade of action, we have the Global Schools Program, which has now transitioned into SDSN, and it's been run by Sam Loney. And we have also made strategic decisions where we have moved our strategy and operations team and the people and culture team back to our secretariats. So all these decisions have been made to ensure that we promote operational efficiency, and most importantly, to make sure that we support young people to scale their solutions for the SDGs in a more impactful way. Our new strategy is anchored on critical pillars of impact. And we are looking at education, collaboration, and innovation. And education anchors entirely on making sure that we educate the next generation of ethical young leaders to take action for SDGs. Collaboration focuses on ensuring that we create alliances and build a community of young leaders who are able to cross-pollinate solutions for sustainable development. And innovation hinges on ensuring that we find creative pathways to scaling our solutions for the SDGs by looking at global problems and addressing the local challenges through local-based solutions. Moving forward and looking ahead, SDSN Youth is prioritizing critical elements. We are prioritizing focusing on our existing programs and ensuring that we build a coterie of young people that benefits, gain the skills and tools from our existing programs. We're also looking at leveraging digital media. In a world where we are going through the digital revolution, we are looking at ensuring that we use emerging technology, including TikTok and other media platforms, to ensure that we amplify the voices of young people. And this should all tie to growth, ensuring that the institution grows, but also the young people that we are supporting grow into ethical, environmentally conscious young leaders. But also there are quite a number of existing initiatives and things that you should look forward to, especially around educational campaigns that focus primarily on climate change, biodiversity, food security, and much more. We are currently at a time where we can't lag behind. Time to take action is now. And for me, it gives me extreme passion and motivation to work for SDSN and be able to create alliances with thousands of young people around the world. I would like to close by stating that we all don't have to be great to start, but we have to start to be great. And SDSN Youth is now on a path of growth, a path that will allow all of us to work together, mobilize our efforts, galvanize our energies, and ensure that in this critical decade of action, the youth voice is at the forefront of development in communities, at national level, regionally, and globally. And SDSN Youth, myself, and my colleagues are going to work tirelessly to ensure that we respond to the needs of young people and we become a trusted, respected brand as we've been over the years. And I would like to equally invite you to visit our new website and be able to explore ways through which you can get involved. I wish to thank you for participating. I wish to thank you for being active agents of change. And I wish to thank you for realizing that change begins with you. And I look forward to journeying with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brighton, for that. And we'll quickly move to questions that our spectators have for you. Those of you who have questions for Brighton can raise your hand on Zoom and we'll recognize you. I see Andrew has raised his hand. Andrew, you can go ahead and ask Brighton your question.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, this is Mr. Andrew Ayu. I'm from Nigeria. Yes, thank you for, let me also, my appreciation goes to the organizer. And then my question is, how possible SDGs Youth to support and collaborate with me here in Nigeria for a vast network of resources, advice, and partnership to achieve a long-lasting positive impact on the life of young people in my community. Hello. Hello.
Brighton, would you like to answer that?
My question is getting, or can I put it in the chat?
Brighton, did you hear the question?
Absolutely, I did. Would you want to take a couple of questions or do you want me to answer each question as it goes?
We'll take one question at a time.
Okay, excellent. First of all, thank you so much, Andrew, for that very good question. And I would like to appreciate you on behalf of SDSN Youth for taking the time to participate. I believe it's initiatives that are run by people like yourself that make SDSN Youth even more and more relevant. Already we have regional networks in Africa, in the Asia Pacific, and many parts of the world that are already spearheading good work. So creating alliances and brokering strong partnerships with you would allow us to even create more impact at scale. We have a lot of different programs that give the skills and tools to community leaders around the world for them to create impact at scale. But we also provide a platform to network, a platform that allows you to create partnerships with people in South Africa, with organizations in Bangladesh, with organizations in Korea. So SDSN Youth comes in to be that interlocutor that can connect you to opportunities around the world and connect you to individuals and people that might offer new insights, might offer new resources, and might offer opportunities for organizations and individuals like yourself in Nigeria to feel as part of a global network.
Thank you, Brighton. We'll move on to the next question from Naomi.
Yes, hello. My name is, oh, my video is going on. 1 second. Hi, my name is Naomi. I am calling in from Denmark. My question is whether or not your organization is doing any work to advocate on a broader scale for organization-wide change across the UN that would continue to push for youth to have an active seat at the table instead of maybe just being represented. What role does your organization see itself playing in that, and really elevating youth within the broader global governance framework?
Thank you so much, Naomi, and it's very exciting to learn that you're joining us from Denmark. I did some work there with communities, and it was really exciting to see how sustainable and green organizations and people are, and how much they care for sustainability. SDSN Youth is working across organizations and ensuring that we are able to create partnerships with different UN agencies and move past elements that might be described as tokenism to engagements that are authentic and meaningful. So through our ongoing exploration with UN agencies, we are working towards ensuring that we have young people be strongly engaged in these processes as active contributors and not deemed or seen as passive participants. And we believe strongly that members of SDSN Youth and any young person around the world is a strong contributor. And we've also seen how much UN agencies, including the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network itself, is supporting SDSN Youth by giving us opportunities to influence and engage more people in sustainable development.
Thank you.
We have a question on the chat box. It's from Mujtaba Zaidi, who's someone from Pakistan. He's happy to note that Brighton is also a Queen's Young Leader. Mujtaba was also awarded the Queen's Young Leader Award in 2018. And he wants to know how SDSN Youth would like to include arts into the education of the SDGs.
Come again? Can you come again, Maya? I think I didn't get the last part of the question.
Yeah, so he wants to know how do we put arts into education for the SDGs? How do we leverage arts to teach the SDGs to various individuals?
That's a very good question, and thank you so much. It's very exciting to see a fellow Queen's Young Leader and continue the good work in Pakistan. And I believe we recognize that there are different pathways to raising awareness around SDGs using art. And SDSN Youth equally does have young people that are using art to educate and ensure that the knowledge of SDGs is communicated in a way that everybody understands. And we recognize that art is critical because now we are moving away from the jargon that we find in most SDG and sustainability communication to exploring ways where art can be used as a tool for education. And through our different programs, we want to invite every young person that has unique ideas to come forth and be able to be part of this coterie of young change makers that are using different pathways, diverse pathways to raising the profile of SDGs, but also promoting education of SDGs using art and creative pathways.
Thank you so much, Brighton. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you so much.
I have another interesting question, that if you had the opportunity to address all the youth of the world gathered at one place, what would your message be?
Thank you so much. That's another very interesting $1 million question. But I'm a strong believer in faith and courage. I believe that faith is acting without seeing. And right now we are faced with huge global pandemics, including the COVID-19 and the climate crisis. So how do we galvanize our own faith and courage to make sure that we address these global catastrophes without being afraid of anything? The last element I would want to share with the world's young people is, do not be afraid. If you believe in anything, if you believe in something, go for it. Do it. And don't ask for permission from anybody.
That's a wonderful message. And yes, $1 million question. What inspired you to take on sustainability as your life's mission?
Thank you so much. That's another very good question. I'm very excited that today we are launching our strategy for SDSN Youth from my birth country, Zambia. I was born and raised in a very small mining town here in Zambia. And as a little child, I could, from time to time, breathe in the air that I could see. I could, from time to time, drink the water whose color I could see. So I developed a very strong passion about addressing legacy environmental liabilities, especially from big extractive industries. My house was next to a big mining company, so all the negative environmental externalities were falling into my backyard. So being raised in such an environment made me develop a very strong conscience for sustainability. So when I went to Columbia University to do my master's in environmental science and policy and the master's of public administration, I wanted to really strengthen my skill sets and ensure that I contribute to broader policies around sustainability. But my background and upbringing in a community where collaboration, teamwork was highly prioritized, I've come to firmly believe that for us to make progress on sustainability, we need to work together. We need to work together, we need to support each other, and we need to ensure that on a daily basis, we perform an act of kindness towards the next person.
We'll take our next question from Ben.
Yes, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
yes, okay. Okay, perfect. First of all, thank you so much to all the speakers earlier. And my question is going to be really quick. By the way, my name is Ben, and I'm from the Philippines, and I'm currently associated with UXs Worldwide. And my question is for Brighton. Brighton, I just want to know from you, because you are a young development professional, and I believe that of more than 100 people here, there's a lot of aspiring young professionals too in this specific field. What would you say are your best advice, you know, in following this path and also becoming part of this really important network of youth who are willing to tackle, you know, the challenges in sustainable development, and how to be well integrated in the system of, you know, just making things possible in the name of the environment?
Thank you so much, Ben, and I'm very excited that you joined us today. Number one, I would like to state that it's really relevant to start, irrespective of where you are, irrespective of the circumstances you are in. I've come to realize that the world is like a classroom where we go in and learn different things. But there are also specific challenges that we see in a classroom that require us solving. And I would like to invite every young person joining us today and those joining us online to think about their community as a classroom, a space where they can learn, but also to open eyes and see the challenges that are deeply entrenched in the community. But upon recognizing all those gaps and problems in the community or in your country or in your region, don't stop at nothing to take action. We need to begin to transition from intention to action. And transitioning from intention to action requires elements of courage. It requires elements of faith. But most importantly, getting involved. Get involved in your local organization, get involved in your local municipality, get involved in your local system to ensure that you contribute meaningfully to the sustainability of where you are. As a young professional, I reflect back as a 14-year-old, walking to the radio station on my father's bike, coming from the community that never had piped water, no tarred roads, but seeing that the community was faced with immense challenges and that nobody was speaking about these things until friends and I worked together to start raising awareness and educating the community. So I think it's about starting where you are, but also looking for what I might call guardian angels with no spiritual connotations. So these might be your friends, these might be organizations where you are that you can work with to galvanize your energies and address the challenges that you are faced with. But the bottom line, Ben, is to start where you are with what you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian.
We'll take one last question from Ruben.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I have to first of all congratulate Brian for everything, as well as his achievements so far. And that's Brighton, actually. And so this is Ruben from Zambia, and I'm the Deputy Secretary General for United Nations Youth Association of Zambia. And I think I'm hoping to meet Brighton physically before he leaves, probably. Yeah. So my question is basically on how best we can try to reach out to those, or maybe how we can empower those young people that are just starting their organization, because there are those that are starting movements, but because of the nature of their communities where they live in, they face a number of challenges, such that, again, of course, with the economic conditions of that particular community, they are forced to stop the fight and concentrate on income generations, also lose out on providing solutions in their community, but also concentrate on sourcing for funds probably to survive. So how do you encourage such a group of young people, if at all they are coming from that, and they are on an age of losing out probably on their fight or towards bringing sustainability in their communities?
Thank you so much, Ruben. And very nice to meet you. And congratulations as well on the good work that you are doing with so many young people in Zambia and across Southern Africa. I believe that there are so many different ways of contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. And you've brought up a very critical element of competing priorities among the youth. Abilities to earn, survive, but also contribute to community service. I think there are ways through which all these efforts could be combined. We are seeing young people that are starting businesses, crouching bags using disposable plastics and making an income out of it. So I think it's about giving them the skills. For example, SDSN Youth, through our solutions program, we do offer opportunities for young people to gain the skills and transition from idea all the way up to launching a viable business idea. So there are many ways through which young people can create business models that contribute to sustainability. It could be business models anchored on circular economy. So I think it begins with pointing young people to the right directions and the right opportunities. And in this case, we have SDSN Youth offering immense opportunities to incubate and mentor young entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs. Also, I would like to highlight one specific and important element, which is our membership program within SDSN Youth, where young people running organizations can get affiliated and have access to opportunities for training and have access to tools that can enable them to start thinking about scaling their organizations and scaling their social enterprises. So in a nutshell, I would say we should begin with empowering the young people with the right skills, the right tools, and the right knowledge on how they can be able to make money while doing good, surviving while doing good, and eventually contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I would be very glad to connect with you and have a chat at an opportune time.
Thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you Brighton for answering them. Just give me a second. Yes, with that we come to the end of today's webinar. We thank everyone for attending it. Our special thanks to Professor Jeffrey Sachs, the President of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, for sharing his invaluable thoughts and gracing this special occasion. We also thank Sophia and Brighton for spending their time with us here today. Anna and I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Amy, Nimrata, and the entire global communications team at SDSN Youth. We would also like to thank our colleagues Haley and Salsa from the Peoples and Cultures team for their support and cooperation. In large, we are honored to be part of the Global Secretariat of UN SDSN Youth, and we deeply appreciate all the members' help in making this webinar a huge success. We leave you with a small thought. The world doesn't need one perfect act of kindness. It needs 7.7 billion imperfect ones. So don't wait for your perfect moment or idea. Every step, every movement is going to help the world make a better place for all of us. And that is the world that we would like to see and envision for not only us, but for all future generations. Thank you once again. Stay safe and take care.